Man, that was a headache. That's for sure.
Yes.
Jenna, first and foremost, how you feeling and what's going on?
So I was trying to come up with a really cool story. There's no cool story. I slipped in my house shoes on some like grocery tote bags in our kitchen because we don't have any rugs on our wood floor in our kitchen. And there's like a cabinet that opens out for the dishwasher, and right next to it there's a cabinet that opens for the sink. So I had like the trash can and the dishwasher, so both cabinets were open and next to each other. I apparently fell. I think I passed out because I checked my blood pressure watch on my watch and it went down to like 49 or something. But I passed out and I just had full weight. My head hit the corner of the cabinet.
I saw the scar, and that's just...
It's pretty ugly. It's pretty gross looking. My partner was he was in his room piddling with his fishing stuff, and he said that he heard the slip, and then he heard, "Oh fuck," and then he heard just like this bang on the cabinets, and then nothing. And I came to, and I was just lying in blood on the floor, and I was like, "What happened? Why am I on the floor?" I busted my lip. I got a stitch in my chin, 10 stitches in my forehead. You could see my skull. Apparently it went down to he said you could see the bone. Oh man. But, I have a concussion. I've never had a concussion before. So that's interesting, but, I'm okay. I'm glad, considering how it happened. I'm glad I didn't break my neck.
Me too.
That very likely could have happened, and it didn't. So I'm grateful that all I am is just tired and a little sensitive to the lights. And
well, I gotta be honest, I'm surprised you still wanted to do the show. Like, I messaged Jenny yesterday, "Are you okay?" She sends me a picture and she's like, "But don't worry, I'll be good for the show." I'm like, that's not why I'm messaging you, dude. I'm checking on you. Like, are you okay? You first. Show later priority.
Thank you. I understand, but I'm here. I'm not. I mean, if I was really out of it, like I was yesterday, I wouldn't have done it. But I'm okay.
Well, I'm glad you're okay, and I'm glad you apparently decided to tough out the show, even though you didn't need to.
I love doing the show. This is one of my favorite things to do. So.
Well, and we've had a heck of a morning so far. Both of us were having technical difficulties. I was supposed to test with there's a couple people auditioning as co-host for my other show, and I have a couple people like that I'm meeting with, and I could not get my audio working, and then I couldn't get the call in working, and then when I finally get in, yours isn't working either. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah. I had accidentally muted my site. Okay, so we're good. We're here. Something that I know that we had talked about during the week that I know that we wanted to bring up was the last episode that we did on psychedelics.
Yes, but before we get into that, there is one more thing I'd like to point out, that Jenna and I have a lot in common, and one of that is being accident prone. So I can assure you, if we keep doing this show every single week, you're going to see a barrage of injuries from us. I'm the guy that trips walking up the stairs. It happens all the time.
I've done that. I have a scar on my knee from tripping walking upstairs.
Why is that? Do you think it's the ADHD? Like, are we just so oblivious to other things that we don't pay attention?
Yeah, and therefore
we keep walking into stuff.
It must be a combination of things. But what's crazy is like I drank heavily and I would wear high heels out, and I've never gotten any injury like this before. But in my house, 3 years sober, in my house shoes, this is when I get hurt. So yes, you'll see an array, I'm sure, but it'll keep it interesting, and you'll get to.
It will. So psychedelics. We opened the show last week talking about my experience with mushrooms. And unfortunately, we or I gave the impression that we were like recommending or suggesting the use of recreational drugs. And no, that's not what we're saying. We're only talking about, our personal experiences and how it fits us. We're not medical experts by any means.
Right. And we were trying to, at some point during the episode, we were trying to tell what's the difference between recreational drug use and addiction, and how to be honest with yourself and try to realize when you're doing what, and the fact that it can change. So I think that we were pretty good about being careful. But just for those who were under the impression that we were trying to tell you, quote, go out and do drugs, that's not what we're doing.
Definitely not. And before we get to we actually do have our first caller already, and we do still have a couple lines open. But today's topic is sex and mental health. So let us know your thoughts. Jenna, how does sex impact your mental health?
I'm not, unless I'm in a relationship, I'm not crazy. Like, I don't really need it that often. When I was single, I would go out and have I'd sleep around a little bit, like one night stands here and there, but kind of keep sane. But I don't really need it unless I'm in love. And if I'm in love, then I'm always horny, and it's always awesome.
Never heard that before.
Yeah.
I'll say this: if you go too long without sex, in my opinion, totally impacts your mental health. I mean, I'll just say there was a period of time when I was going through my separation that like I did not have sex for a long period of time, and it can weigh on you. It makes you feel less desired, and then when you do finally have sex, it's like, oh, okay, cool, I feel normalized now. It's like it resets your brain in a way, and not that it's something I am by any means dependent on, because I've gone for long periods of time without it, and I can do that again. But going excessively long, like let's say a couple years, that, in my opinion, can be really difficult and straining on your mental health.
Would you say that cuddling could replace sex?
To an extent, absolutely. I mean, it could possibly even replace it entirely. I guess it depends on the person. However, cuddling did a lot for my mental health. Like when I was finally like just able to cuddle with someone again after a long period of time, like the next day I was like, oh my God, like it was just like all this stress had melted away. I wasn't feeling like as undesirable. I guess you could say. Like I was like, okay, cool. It reassures you. It builds your confidence. It makes you feel good. So yeah, I guess in many ways, cuddling can be supplementary.
It might be that oxytocin withdrawal that we talked about before, because sex and cuddling both give you a huge dose of oxytocin, that trust hormone, the sex hormone. You could get it from cuddling. And so I was actually thinking, like when I was single, there were a couple guys that I would, and my now partner was one of them. But I would kind of go back and just have this like kind of friends with benefits situation where we would just go, and sometimes I would go over and we would just cuddle,
Right.
So I think that helps too. I think that counts.
I agree. Would you like to get to our first caller?
Sure, that sounds good.
And for anyone watching, if you're interested in talking about sex and mental health, the number is at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, real quick.
Let me put him back on the queue 1 second. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, how are you guys defining sex? Are you including masturbation and self-sex? Yeah.
Why not?
Right? Sex with yourself, sex with a toy.
Sex
in your head.
Consent.
So I'm sorry?
Sex with anyone that can consent.
Correct. And you can consent to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyways, here's our first.
Yes. Just wanted to clarify that.
Caller. Sorry, Jenna.
Sorry, I'm out of it.
Steven, you're on the line with Jenna and Ethan. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Hi,
doing
Steven.
well. Oh, and I forgot to give the obvious trigger warning. We don't have a call screener, and this is live. Steven, what do you got for us?
All right. I originally called because of last week's show, but this week's show has an interest to me as well. I've been married 4 times unsuccessfully because I'm in mental health recovery. It feels like every time a relationship gets sexual, I fall in love in a hurry.
I see that.
I think that can happen to a lot of people. You when you're having sex, you bond on another level. So, would you? So, do you fall in love with everyone you sleep with?
Not 100%, but probably 90. Yeah.
Have you considered doing that kind of friends with benefits situation?
Well, I actually have somebody that could fall into that category, but when we were together the first time, it ended badly because I fell in love and she didn't, and it didn't work out. However, I think it could go with friends with benefits, but I don't know that I could stick with that.
Why is that?
Because I fall in love.
You can love someone that you're friends with benefits with, right?
I know.
Are you open to the possibility that it's may not be love and it could actually just be attachment?
Right, like oxytocin overdose.
Absolutely.
So do you wait a little while and then you find out that it's not love, or does it stay forever?
Well, with this past one, she pretty much made it clear from the start it wasn't love.
Oh.
And I just wasn't accepting that.
What do you mean?
When you say you weren't accepting it, what do you mean by that?
Oh, I mean, I would tell her that I loved her, and occasionally she'd say it back, but then let me know that it wasn't the love I was thinking of. But I just get so, let me put it this way. When we're not together, that's all I can think about is that person. I mean, it's overwhelming.
What do you have going on in your life? Like, what are your goals, if you don't mind me asking? Like, what are you working toward?
Well, I'm in mental health recovery. I'm also in addiction recovery. Been doing both quite a while. Now I'm working in the mental health field.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. But I have this part. That part of my life is fantastic. Work is awesome, and I also volunteer at a homeless shelter a couple nights a week.
Thank you for that
all
too.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You're welcome. All that's amazing. However, I'm very lonely. I don't look forward to weekends. I have my dog Dexter, but I get very lonely, and I think that's why I get attached so quick when somebody shows me some attention sexually.
That's why I was suggesting the idea of a friends with benefits relationships, is because it's not like you have to tie down anything. You can just have however many friends you want and do whatever you want.
Or, not that this is for everybody, and you have to find people who can consent to this, but you could also consider a polyamorous relationship, one where you will not be in danger of getting overly attached to one person. Now, I don't typically have. I'm sorry?
I'm not sure what that is.
Oh, sorry. So that would be like a relationship or agreement with more than one person. So you may have like one person in your life. It could be, you could have multiple people where you're, having sex with these dedicated partners, as long as they're all in agreement and know that you're sleeping around with other people, then that could help prevent you from getting attached to one person. Or possibly like having one partner for sex, having another partner for cuddling, one for going to the store with, then that way you're not as worried about getting attached to this one person. And I mean, I can tell you from my perspective, I am also lonely. I do have a lot of people around me, but being surrounded by people doesn't necessarily make you any less lonely. But I try and remember that I want to make sure the people I spend my time with are important to me. So I don't know. I want to be careful what I say here. Jenna, can you take over for a second?
Well, I was agreeing with you, just to add on to that. Like, for example, if I didn't have my partner, I have a group of friends that we're all very close. I mean, it might as well be like a poly friendship. We're not all sleeping with each other, but we're friends. Like, we hang out with each other. We can rely on each other. We can trust each other. And so it kind of gives me more than one person to think about.
Right. I could do that in a non-sexual way.
Yeah.
But when it comes to sexual, it would have to be monogamous for me.
That's totally fine.
I wouldn't. I'd be very jealous.
Perhaps, waiting a longer time before you become physically intimate. Let them know that when you do start having sex, that you typically get more attached, and therefore you'd like to wait, a longer period of time before engaging in that to make sure you're a right fit for that person. I also think it's important to recognize that these emotions may be powerful, but it's best to recognize that they are, to not let your emotions dictate you, and to recognize that, as Jenna said earlier, this is a release of oxytocin, and it may not be love, but I'm not the one to determine that.
And just to clarify, and I'm sure you know this working in the mental health field, but for those who don't know, we are not professionals. We are peers. We are just people who are interested in mental health, and we have experience in things ourselves. But when it comes to monogamy and poly, some people are one, some people are the other. But something that I have learned, having only been in monogamous relationships, something that I've learned having friends who are in poly relationships, is that most of the barrier between having the ability to do that is insecurity. And granted, I have that insecurity, and so does my partner. So we're pretty fine in our monogamous relationship. But if at some point in time we were both able to work on that, it could open up doors. It could change things, because marriage, you've been married 4 times. It gets long. It gets monogamous or monotonous.
Monogamous too.
Right. But, it's, it can change if you were to consider taking that look at yourself and trying to see if that's something that could change. And it's not for everyone. But you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. This is what I think about a lot. Those 4 marriages I talked about, well, all but the last one, I was into drugs and alcohol really bad, and that kind of led to the problems in those. The last one I wasn't into alcohol, but she was. But I tried to overlook that, and it didn't work either. But I feel like I deserve to have, I joke and say number 5, but I shouldn't do that. Another wife that would be married to this me. And I almost crave that to a fault.
You crave what?
Wanting to be in a marriage with this version of me. I've been in addiction recovery. This month will be 20 years.
Congratulations.
Mental health recovery. mental health recovery. I don't know if it's been 10 years or not yet. But this is a better version of me.
That's totally normal to want a relationship. I wouldn't count the old ones. I wouldn't count. I mean, it doesn't matter how many times you've signed a piece of paper. I mean, you're single right now, right?
Yes.
And you want a relationship.
I'm not young.
That's fair. So, I mean, you're not young compared to who, right?
So because of that, I overlook the red flags. I'm so bad in relationships. I overlook the red flags or think it'll get better, and I know better. But in the moment, I don't know better.
Let me ask you this. When you get into a relationship, what is your goal? Do you have, like, when you get into something, is it, hey, I just want to get married?
That's a very good question.
That's what I'm looking for, yes.
So
I don't know if I say that right away, but
why is it that, what is it about a marriage that you're craving?
I didn't hate my marriages. They didn't work out, but I didn't hate them. And 2 of them I have children with. I just like that being part of my life.
So
just have, and now I've conquered a lot of things. I just ain't conquered my emotions when it comes to that.
So what is it specifically about marriage that appeals to you as opposed to just a longtime partner?
That's a good question. Excuse me. I'm not sure. It's just always where my head goes pretty quickly.
So it's great that you're able to recognize that. I think that is an important step. May I make a suggestion?
Absolutely.
Try switching your goal from marriage to just having a good long-term healthy relationship, because I'm not opposed to marriage, but that shouldn't be your goal in a relationship. It should be like mutual happiness, working together. Those are the things you should be actively fighting for and trying for. Adding a certificate, in my opinion, it doesn't validate it anymore, because if you love each other, you're going to love each other regardless if there's a certificate of marriage or not.
May I add to that?
Sure.
So I was, like I said, when I was single, I was sleeping with a few people, and with my current partner, like I said, we had developed this relationship, this friendship. And then after we developed this friendship, we developed a relationship. And like Ethan said, if that's what you're looking for, is just a good relationship, then you can start with a friendship. Just look for friends. And then out of those friends, see who you want to hang out with more. And if you feel like just hold off on the sex if you can. You know, if that really clouds your judgment and you know that about yourself, but what you want is a relationship and you know it confuses it, so maybe hold off on sex. Say, you know, we'll not have sex until date number whatever, or until I've known you this long, or experiment with it. You know, you don't have to marry every person you date. So I would say exactly what Ethan said, go out and find some good relationships, find some friends, and see where it goes.
Okay.
Again, we are not professionals.
Yes. Don't
I know that. I'm not a professional either.
Just so that people watching, if somebody's just now tuning in, that they don't think that we're like
right and
giving people professional advice.
Giving advice, like, no, we're just 2 people that wanted to do a show,
right,
and make a difference.
I love your show, by the way.
Thank you, Steve.
Share it.
Yeah, I didn't agree with last week.
Yeah.
But we won't get into that.
I'm sure we'll bring it up again.
Stephen, I want to thank you for taking the time to call in.
Thank you so much, and good luck with everything.
All right. Have a good Sunday.
Thank you.
Sounds like a nice guy.
Yeah, very nice guy. I gotta say, like, I personally now I get asked like, hey, are you opposed to marriage now that you've had a failed one? And I'm not opposed to it, but I don't see the point in rushing into it anymore by any means. Like I don't need that. I'm more content with just finding a partner that I'm happy with.
To be fair, some people do need that. Some people,
absolutely.
Some people, it just makes them, as a couple, it makes them feel solid. It makes them feel final. It makes them feel solidified. So to be fair, I mean, I agree with you. I've been married once. I've got that certificate. If something were to happen, I don't think I'd be worried about it anymore, but that might be because I've gotten it already. So just to be fair.
Thank you, Ragabash. There was probably about a minute and 2 minutes ago. Well, maybe it was more like 5 minutes ago. I had asked you to take over for a moment. It's because there are times where I genuinely struggle about talking about my feelings on personal topics, particularly like sex, because I was raised very conservative. So in the back of my head, I always have that nagging, like, don't talk about it. Don't do this. Don't show your weaknesses. Be strong. And I have to remind myself that, hey, it's okay. You can talk about these things. It's not bad. So sometimes I get this internal struggle and it drives me up a friggin' wall.
I can completely relate. Like saying the word horny. Masturbate. Yeah. Like even saying these words is making me uncomfortable. But I think that that's why it's important that we have this conversation. It's good practice for us. It's good practice for people to be having it amongst themselves and be calling in and talking about it. So I think this is really important. Actually, I think we should talk about death soon.
Death? That would be a really good one.
Yeah.
Death from the atheist perspective.
Yeah. Things that are hard to talk about, but should be normalized.
I pretty much love talking about anything that needs to be normalized that are
Agreed.
to talk about. So one of the people submitted one of their reasons why sex is important to them. And they said it gave them they're used to being in control in everything in their life. And once they have sex, they surrender control and it gives them a great deal of stress relief. Does anybody else feel like that? What are your thoughts?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it feels good in the sense of like after I go for a run, I feel good. I wouldn't say that I'm one of those people that really needs it all the time. Just not in a relationship. I don't know what it is about. I'm very different people when I'm in a relationship or not. Like if I'm in a relationship, I can sleep with you at any moment. I am down. Same. And I want it all the time. So I'm the guy in that sense. Like, right? Like he's coming up with excuses to not but when I'm not in a relationship, that's just not what I'm thinking about. Right. I don't know, I'm weird.
I would say I do both. Like I think about it when I'm not in a relationship, but I'm also not necessarily dependent on it. Like at this point, I'll be honest, like I am totally cool with just finding people that want to cuddle. Like that's just like, it doesn't complicate things as much. And it's really great for, in my opinion, your mental health. Like it has, damn it, Band-Aid scratching things again. Yeah, it's done wonders for me, just being able to lay with someone and just, watch a movie and smoke together. Not that I'm promoting or condoning the use of recreational drugs, but for me, it's awesome and I love it.
That's awesome.
And if you would like, we actually don't have any callers right now. So call the number at the bottom of the screen. Come talk to us. Share your thoughts on sex and mental health and how it either helps or hurts you, because there are a few people that reached out and said sex can also be a negative depending on your mood, that it can make you feel depressed, worthless, and even victimized, unfortunately. I am fortunate that I've never had that experience, but from what I was seeing, it sounds like a lot of people have experienced that.
Right. You can turn into a traumatic thing for a lot of people. I've never, so I have had bad experiences sexually, but that's never turned over into my sex life, and I don't know why. I could just be lucky. I don't know. But I am curious if Amy in the chat wouldn't mind calling in, because I would love to talk to her more.
Yes.
708-554-7836. If you'd like to talk about it, I'd love to pick your brains and learn more about the way you identify.
We do have a caller, and I gotta say, this auto screener is kind of funny, and I'm curious what James would like to talk about before I say what the auto screener says it was.
Okay.
James, you're on with Jenna and Ethan. How are you?
Awesome. I'm really curious. What did it say?
It said James and Tank Sex.
Yeah. James the Tank is like my YouTube name.
Oh,
okay. I thought it was James and Tank Sex, like
oh my God, that's funny.
Sex in a tank. Like, that's an interesting one.
That's fantastic.
So
I'm for like a total destigmatization of sex. Like, just like people should be able to talk about masturbation on the bus, and people should be able to have open relationships without judgment.
Wait,
and
did you say masturbation
like,
on a bus?
I don't think people should like masturbate on the bus, but like I think being able to talk about masturbation on the bus should be fine.
On the bus? What bus?
Yeah, like a city bus.
I gotta say, I would actually disagree with that. While I want to normalize these conversations, we also have to recognize that sex talks can be very triggering to some people because they've had terrible experiences. And unless they can consent to that conversation, I don't think it would be polite to expose them to that.
I completely agree.
No, to be fair, I did say masturbation.
That's sex.
What? Like, I mean,
do you understand the concept of why it's inappropriate?
Do I understand why talking about masturbation would be triggering for somebody?
Would you understand why it might be inappropriate to talk about it in public like that, in a close quarters public space?
Like I understand. Yeah, I understand that society has kind of built up that framework, but like I
don't. Do you think it's because of society? You don't think it's because of individual personalities that somebody that might overhear it might get triggered and react in a negative way?
About a conversation about masturbation?
Yeah. Yes. People can be sexually traumatized just by hearing you talk about masturbation.
Think about it like this. And for those watching, trigger warning, possibly mute for like 10 to 15 seconds. Imagine if you had been a victim of sexual assault by means of someone using masturbation routinely, like exposing you to that against your will. Then you're on a city bus and someone brings up masturbation, it's instantly going to bring you right back to that place you were at. And that's why I think we got to be responsible with what we choose to talk about publicly.
Okay, I think I see where the disconnect is. I'm referring to it as like an end goal. Like we get to a point where society is healthy enough that it's not strange to hear somebody talk about masturbation on the bus.
Oh,
so you just want to
like I would still
normalize
advocate for like checking your surroundings and like, you know, like it's not something I would do today. I'm not going to sit on a bus with a guy with 2 kids and like force him to overhear that conversation.
Right.
But I would like to get to the point where sex is just totally normalized.
I completely agree.
Same page.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what we're trying to do with this show today. And thank you for saying that because we completely agree with you.
To go like a step farther, like there really does need to be a word for women that is like parallel to stud. asexuality needs to be normalized. Like, people don't have to have sex cravings. Having kids or not having kids needs to be normalized. Like, the whole thing, just the whole thing.
Yeah.
Me being able to say no should be normalized.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
By the way, yeah.
No, I agree.
I think that's what I got.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree.
Thanks, James. James the Tank.
All right, have a good one.
All right,
Thank you, James the Tank. Have a good one. And hopefully we get there one day.
I'm really glad, James kind of bridged the gap at the end.
Yeah.
Because definitely do not want to normalize speaking quickly about things people that could be triggering to them.
I'm glad that we misunderstood, though, because then we were able to talk about something that definitely needed to be addressed.
Hey, and do you know why we were able to clear up the misunderstanding? Because we listen.
Charitable listening.
All right, we do have a few callers now. So
Yay!
This next one, there's no auto screener or they bypassed it. So trigger warning, everyone. I don't know. It doesn't show a name, but you're on with Jenna and Ethan. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's Eve. Every time I say my name, you guys say it doesn't read it. So it doesn't like me.
This is what it said this time. For your name, it said, and that's well-being Tran.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I was going to talk about how being trans interplays with like sex, but yeah, for some reason it just never wants to get my name.
Aww.
We'll get a call screener at some point.
Yeah. I'm glad that you could call in. Eve.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to talk about that. Like I'm like a pretty sexual person. I'm a sex worker. And like I don't know, like I'm really sexual. I think I enjoy sex with a partner, especially when we're like deeply connected. But oh my God, having sex with a trans person is so complicated sometimes.
Can you
it's sorry.
Expand on that? What do you mean?
It's like there's a really fine line between like engaging with your body in a way that's satisfactory for you and your partner, like simultaneously, while also being validating of like your gender or your identity. I think maybe for some people, they're more comfortable engaging with their bodies in ways that aren't too complicated. But definitely for me, I find that despite being a sex worker, it's been really a struggle, especially in relationships, to have a healthy sexual like a bond with someone.
Okay.
Interesting.
By the way, I'm all for the normalization and decriminalization of sex work. Wholeheartedly.
Agreed. I was a dancer.
Yeah. I mean, like it's fun. It's empowering and it's great. But definitely like in my personal life, I don't do like 99% of the things I do are not the things that I do while I'm doing sex work. Like in particular, like I'm attracted to women. I have relationships with women a lot. And that can be really complicated. Like engaging, like respecting someone who might identify as a lesbian, like their boundaries and their sexuality, while also acknowledging that like as a sexual being, like I also like crave sex and would like to have a healthy sexual bond with someone.
How healthy is your communication with this partner?
Code I've never been able to crack.
I'm sorry.
Can you say it again?
I'm just curious about the communication. It sounds like there might be a gap in communication.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm always pretty upfront about the fact that like I am not comfortable like I definitely need a partner to understand that when they're engaging with like my genitals or like my like sexuality, that like if you're engaging with it as you would think like a cis man's genitals function, like I'm gonna have like a mental breakdown. But
Interesting.
yeah, I don't know, it's hard because like, you know, like if you're not asexual, like you probably need a sexual release eventually in your life, preferably with a partner. Yeah, it's definitely a complex space to navigate.
I really do want to talk to someone who's asexual. It's always been intriguing to me. But Eve, I'm curious, would you be comfortable finding me on Facebook? Because I have always wanted to
Sure.
well, I'll go into it more privately, but there's a show that I've wanted to do for a while, like, an episode / interview. So if there's any way you could find me on Facebook, it would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, of course.
Facebook.com / Ethan F. Micheal. It's Michael spelled Micheal, not AEL. My mom swears she spelled it the right way, but I'm not convinced she knew how to spell Michael when she gave me that name.
Okay. Yeah. I will definitely look you up as soon as this call's done, for sure.
Awesome.
Cool.
We do have a couple more callers. We gotta
That's real quick before we let her go. Best name ever has a really good point. Have you talked to a sex therapist? Yeah.
I have a therapist, and I talk to her a lot about it, but I've never talked to specifically a sex therapist about it. There probably could be some interesting, I don't know, information to draw from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that's complicated, you know, when you just want to get off. You know, it's
yeah. For sure.
Do you have ways, I mean, have you found a number of ways to satisfy yourself when you can't get that?
Definitely. Like for me, like I know I'm a woman. I don't, that's not like a doubt I have. So like for me, like engaging in like masturbation or whatever isn't complicated because like I don't think of myself that way.
Right.
And so I know the way that I engage with myself doesn't invalidate me. It's just, I think it's really hard for others to engage with like body parts or with like things that they don't understand.
May I ask, is it that you want to be touched in a different way?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely like wouldn't want someone to, like I was saying earlier, like I definitely wouldn't want someone to engage with my body. Like they think I'm like a cis man, even though I might have like those parts or whatever.
Right.
And in fact, I prefer people keep their distance in that regard.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely complicated. I haven't thought it myself, so.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, and I'm glad that you could share that with us. I learned something. I didn't know that. I mean, I'm very glad that you felt comfortable calling and telling us that. I hope that you find some relief.
Yeah, thanks. I'm working on it. It's a process.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, Eve, it's always a pleasure checking. Always a pleasure talking to you. And I would definitely recommend Secular Sexuality.
They're on Thursdays. I think it's 7 Central.
I've actually been on there like twice. But
awesome!
But yeah, thank you guys. I love this space. Again, you're awesome. Thanks for doing it.
Sorry, Eve. Thank you.
Anyway,
thank you so much.
All
right. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
And for those watching, if you're watching on Facebook, there is a YouTube link in the description of the video. If you could click that link and go to our YouTube page, like, subscribe, and turn a notification bell on so you get notified every time we go live, which is every Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Daylight Time. You ready for our next caller?
Yes.
You actually asked to call in. We've got Amy. Amy, you're on with Jenna and Ethan. How's it going?
Yay, thank you for calling.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good.
Hello, good to hear from you.
You too.
I'm curious. I've never talked to anybody about asexuality. I'm curious if you can tell us what you would want somebody who's never heard about it really before to know.
Sure. I mean, it's kind of simple. I just, in my life, I've never ever had some sort of desire or lingering curiosity to, engage with people in that way. I've always been more fascinated with the minds of people and the way that they make you feel. And I've always felt that sex is something that you, at least in the relationships that I've seen, that like it was used as a way to try and fix things or to hold over someone's head, like as a leverage or as a tool rather than like a connecting one. And so I felt like if you can fall in love with the person that, like who they are 99% of the time, and you love them for who they are that way, that really is what I look for anyway. And that's what's kept me in my relationships the way that they are. And, once it's not about, I guess, like a common meeting ground, it's really about getting involved with the person that you want to spend your life with.
May I ask, do you experience like sexual attraction?
Well, I mean, I think of things, I'm an artist, so I think of things in a beautiful sense, or, I'm pretty happy with things that people may have, like I tend to gear towards women, and I like very, but, I'm wide variety ridden with that, but specifically like, anything that sexually attracts me, not really, I wouldn't say. I'm not attracted to like body parts, but it's mainly just a mental thing. And, whatever skin suit you may have, it's just that aesthetic, like, I mean, of course, myself, I do have like preferences on, are they, into the same kind of media or the same type of literature as I am? Are they, compatible with me in those types of senses? Other than that, I'm really not a picky person.
Okay.
Do you masturbate?
Do I? No.
No.
I see it to me like it's kind of weird, but I see it as a sense for me like it reminds me more of my like others part of me that I can't really get past yet. Because I'm in the process of my transition and everything, so it feels
congratulations.
to me like that last part of. Thank you. It's like that's a part of me that has just always felt like obtuse, and the best I can describe it to anybody who may not be in my predicament, it's like when you go and you find a Halloween costume that's just so foreign and so not you and so very unflattering to your natural self that you put this costume on and you get faced with a broken zipper. And the more that you do, like through makeup or through how you change yourself in that meantime, might get you closer to your goal, but ultimately you still feel like there's a lot more to yourself than what you really have been given. So in that kind of sense, I feel that you have, well, for me anyway, I feel it's a very odd thing, and I don't like to interact with that area of myself. And frankly, I think of it as, and kind of maybe a dark way, but I just think of it as a way to release chemicals and to essentially like reduce my masculinity, if that makes sense. It's not something that I personally have ever found interesting in people, like I've never gone out and been like, I want to get laid, or I want to do this or that, or I want to take a girl home or take somebody home. I've never had that kind of mentality. It's just something that you've never really, to me, it's not like I haven't tried it. I personally didn't enjoy it, and it wasn't something that, I signed myself up for, after that.
You said you don't enjoy it?
My peers and.
Sorry.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. I thought you were done. I was just asking. You said you don't enjoy it? You wouldn't enjoy it?
No, I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
May I ask how being asexual impacts your relationships with people?
Well, it kind of puts a dent, and it's something that I'm actually working on in my relationship right now. Actually getting married in a few weeks, and
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
The big thing for Thank you. Thank you. I'm very excited myself. I never really thought I'd be here, but I think patience is a virtue, and I think that really being selective can help you. Um, if if you're willing to wait, I guess, and I have a little bit of luck. But for me personally, no, I haven't really enjoyed it in the way that in fact impacts my life. It just makes it really it makes it difficult because my partner comes from a background of being more sexually expressive and has these certain things about her that we both have an understanding from the get-go that I'm not this way and I don't see things this way, but she learned to live and love the way that I've experienced it, and so far we're just working out our comfortability levels, and we're trying to actively talk about our feelings. And one of the things that kind of puts pressure on me is it's like, I do want to make her happy, and I'm just not there mentally yet to put myself in that position,
Right.
where she's someone that is waiting, for that specific time. And I think once my surgeries or my transition is a little further, and like things are a bit different in that sense, I wouldn't doubt in the future I may have these feelings or have the comfortability with myself. But personally, I've always had like a self-confidence and or self-imagery issues, and I'm sure everyone has to a degree, but it truly made me go, and ever since I've identified as trans at the age of 16, I'm 28 now, so I mean I've literally done everything in my power to kind of push away what I didn't like about myself, and those are probably the last remaining pieces I feel I need to work on. But to me, I guess it's kind of like a robotic sense where I would think of it as a way to make a child, or a way to, to really
Kind of mechanical.
between someone. Yeah, exactly. So I didn't really see it as something of a connection, like I just, even when I was young, I just always thought of people and getting involved with how they felt. And, I'd rather wake up with someone who's into the same stuff as me, or, compatible material as me. And I can love for such a longer time than some people who argue all day and they never get along, and they have that 1 hour in the bedroom to themselves and then they get along. I've always wanted, I guess I'm a little bit more greedy in that sense. But
so you would be opposed to an open relationship?
To me, I would not be against the idea of it, but by the same token, I know my partner wouldn't be. And for my specific views, like I'm in love with the person, that I'm with, and she's very, catering to my mental states, and is very supportive on everything that I do. And she's helped me evolve into a better form of myself I didn't think I had in me. And if for some strange thing happened in the future where, she may want another person involved who may be somebody that could be a third that we would both like, I mean, I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't be opposed to that. But by the same token, I don't really think that's the way that she would swing personally.
Right.
Question from actually two questions from our audience. Cuddling and kissing, where are you at on that?
Well, we do those things. I definitely like to cuddle up next to people and show affection, and I guess it's more or less like the best way to describe it is, to me anyway, I just we'll hug, we'll kiss, and we give massages and stuff, but it doesn't really go much further than that. Like we don't really see I guess anything else involving like touching of specific areas. It's just
Right.
seen as like a little bit sexual. So we try to refrain from things like that. But other than that, that's usually what we thrive on. Is my fiance will hound me for kisses every day, and if I don't give them, then I get a grumpy fiance at me. But at the same time, it's just little things, I think, that make the day go by. And we always leave the house and we kiss each other and we say we love each other, because we never know when we're going to see each other next. So,
Sounds like you got a good relationship.
Anything else goes. I mean, I'm sorry?
It sounds like you've got a good relationship. Sounds like you found somebody that understands you.
Yeah. No, I'm not easy by any goings of the way I view things.
Nobody is.
It's a big learning curve for sure for the both of us. But, I feel one day I might be confident enough to be more sexually expressive towards her. And I hope that with anyone listening, that it's not weird if you don't exactly have a preference or have a desire. At least in my eyes, I think of it as, like maybe it's just something that's never occurred to you. And in my case, it wasn't something that I've ever focused on. Like my parents were never people that like presented this topic to me, and everything I've kind of learned about it was through my siblings or through like books and stuff like that, or media. So I don't know. I mean, I'm very fortunate to be in the predicament that I'm in, but I hope sometime soon in the future I might be able to change some of the things I don't like.
I mean, maybe, but I kind of like who you are right now.
Well, awesome. I mean, I've been a huge fan of the secular movement and the atheist experience itself, and anybody that's been a part of the ECA is that I follow religiously. You guys have all put a great dent in making and shaping me as an individual and how I converse with other people. And to me, you guys have always been so supportive and very helpful in guiding me. And so being a part of this live event right now is actually quite amazing to me. So thank you for that. And
thank you.
Thanks for calling me or having me call in. Like I'm
You
sorry
just
I don't
made
really
Jenna
have
cry.
a more scripted answer for y'all, but I'm pretty real and speaking from the heart directly, and I think that's what's important in these kind of events.
Jenna, I'm giving you a big heart and a heart. I'm sure what hearts, but everyone, come on, give Jenna a heart. She's tearing up.
No, give Amy hearts.
And yes, that was incredibly sweet, Amy.
You guys, thank you guys, every one of you. Thank you. I mean,
thank you.
I do have a friend actually going to Austin, Texas right now on vacation, and I was really jealous. I was like, I better get down there soon. I need to meet everybody. I need to come say hi. And
I do too.
Unfortunately, the ACA is going to be closed. I'm hearing for they're saying a year or till next year. So I'm thinking summer is what I'm hearing. I think, I don't know. I mean, it's going to change. Who knows what's happening? But I would love, we're going to have to find some way to maybe come up with a socially distant group circle where we can have some kind of gathering for the secular community that is socially distant. I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing. Like I've really encountered some stuff lately in my life where the lessons that I've learned from everyone on here have really played a key role in helping my own dialogue, but also helping, me be the strong, supportive person from the background and letting my family figure things out for themselves. And it's something that, I always want to give back to you guys as well. And so, if you guys have more, live events, or if you have any more dialogue or any live videos going on in the future, I would like to talk more about, different beliefs or, a plethora of things regarding the ACA if possible.
That'd be awesome.
I hope I hope this could be a reoccurring thing.
I do too. Oh man. Well, thank you so much for calling. I hope that everything goes well. I hope that you can work his stuff out, but I also hope that you can accept you as you, because if you're asexual, you're asexual. That's how it is,
Right. Like, it kind of feels weird, like when people talk about stuff like that with me. Like, I sometimes feel like I have a PG mind, and I wish to expand that. So, I definitely think of it as it is me, and it's awesome. But I do hope to be more open-minded in the future and evolve as a person.
Awesome.
I don't think of it as there's anything wrong with me personally, but just as who I am inside, I feel like that's not always going to be who I am. So, but thank you for that. And you guys have been really sweet, and I do appreciate your time. I know you got to get back to other callers.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
I hope that you guys are safe and all your families are all safe during this pandemic.
You too.
And we'll talk later.
All right. I hope you have a good week.
You're so awesome. She's so awesome. Like I mentioned, when I'm not in a relationship, I'm kind of asexual as well, in the sense that I've never had a type, right? Like, when I am attracted to somebody, which I'm pansexual, it's very sapio. So I'm very, kind of like Amy was saying.
Clarify what you mean by that?
That I am very much attracted to people's minds, and I am actually not attracted to genitals at all. That's kind of I think why I'm pansexual. It just doesn't matter to me. But I mean, I'm not asexual. I still love sex. So I think that's interesting. I'm kind of like a mix. Just to let Amy know that you're not alone on that being attracted to the mind rather than the body.
I can feel that too.
Right.
When it comes to being more attracted to someone's mind. When I was younger, didn't care so much. Now I'm like, I don't care how attractive you are. If you're not on the same wavelength, at least moderately, can't do it.
Right.
It's not happening.
Right.
And yeah, I want to echo what Amy said real quick, Jenna, and like some of the great things the ACA has done and what you've done. You have been, you and Matt have been tremendous people in my life and people to listen to, where I have learned so much from you both, particularly you, Jenna, lending a compassionate ear. Anyways, I do want to thank everyone who called in. I'm sorry we didn't get to all the callers, but hey, that is a good problem to have. That's what we want each and every week. We want our lines filled up, talking to as many people as possible.
Unfortunately, I am concussed and have 2 lights on me and have been staring at them. So I kind of need to get off.
Right. So we'll wrap up quickly. I hope, Jenna, is there anything else you want to say?
No, I just want to say, whether it's masturbation, whether you're asexual, whether it's, you're sapiosexual, demisexual, pansexual, whatever you are, love yourself. Yeah. Love yourself.
Loving yourself is important. And I hope everyone has a safe and wonderful week. Thanks for tuning in. And remember to like, subscribe. And if you want to become a patron, you can consider becoming one for as low as $1 a month. The link is in the YouTube description. Have a safe week, everyone. Good night.
Thank you.